Hello and welcome here to Talking Venture Capital TV. My name is Javier and I'll be your host for today. And like every session, we're bringing you innovation, technology, and solutions, and most of all, information you want to hear about. As a reminder, you can see our previous shows and content by visiting talking.com/VCTV/shows. And please remember, anything mentioned here is not any type of financial advice. Please do your research before making any decision. It's your choices and your responsibility. With that, I would like to welcome Anuj, a frequent guest of ours from Yellow Sapphire. Hello, Anuj. How are you?
I'm good, Javier. How's everything going with you?
Perfect. Thank you very much for being with us. Anuj, we have a very interesting topic for today, and it is about DAOs changing venture investing. I'm sure you heard about it. There's a lot of news around that, and we're going to get into that in just a minute. But before that, for our views, I would like to ask if you can introduce yourself, please.
Absolutely. So, really quick intro. Startup founder, did three startups in the last 10 years. At present, working as a founder for Yellow Sapphire Technologies. So, we work with early stage startups, helping them find a product market fit, uh, helping the tech side of things reach a level where the founders and the in-house tech team can scale the product easily. And of course, me and my co-founder Angel invest as well. So we work with iAngels in Israel along with in a personal capacity in India. Uh, we look at deals all across the world, but yeah, mostly limiting ourselves to tech-related products, not into any particular sector. So keeping that sector agnostic, as long as it's tech, we try to look at it.
Perfect. Thank you, Anuj, for that. Now let's jump onto this a very interesting topic. And to our viewers, if you have any question, any comment, please feel free to write it to us in the comment section, and we're going to be addressing it. Now, how are DAOs changing venture investing? Now, we all heard about the decentralized autonomous organizations out there, and usually, basically, just as a reminder to our viewers, it is basically a community governed entirely by its individual members to make critical decisions about the future of the project. Can be technical upgrades, can be treasury allocations, whatever, but it's basically decentralized. Now, Anuj, as you know, there are a lot of venture capital companies out there who have been on top of this, of the upcoming projects. They were always the first one that project would go to seek for advice, funding, and so on. But then comes the deals, and then it's a little bit of they want a piece of the cake, right? It's decentralized, a completely different approach with completely different benefits. How do you think this is affecting the venture investing nowadays?
See, anyone who has been an early adopter of blockchain, bitcoins, and then cryptocurrencies has always said that decentralization is the future. Long gone
Mhm.
are the days where power grabbing was the key, right? Every society, every generation has tried to strive to be better than the previous one. In the old days, pre 1800, we did not have access to information. We did not have access to knowledge, that scientific information that we have access to now. And not just access, but how quick we can access it. If you want, if you're curious about anything, just Google things up, and then you have the world of information at your fingertips. And that has grown tremendously over the last 50 odd years. So you're seeing massive leaps and bounds in terms of how every generation is thinking, how every generation is trying to build their society better. So in the early days of internet, you had people who advocating for freer internet, more wider access to information, because then that was the key. But just like a pyramid, once majority of the population got access to the bottom rung of it, we moved different things. So then the priority became not just access to internet, but access to fast internet, a level playing field, keeping the internet free for all, or making it, as we say, a human right, because let's be honest, that's what it is right now. But in the last 10 years, you're seeing a very rapid change, something akin to what I would say happened a la 1950s. You're seeing a once a generational shift of power from the power holders to, again, we the people. And sure, as much as there are political views and as much as there are ideologies we are still holding on to, the fact still remains that the adoption is there. And DAO is one of the next steps. Blockchain came well over a decade and a half ago, and then it has truly given us n number of potentials. We are now seeing an era where not only are we decentralizing and taking away the head figure from currencies or from financial institutions, but also at an organizational level as well. At present, venture capitaling works on a very simple mantra, right? I am someone who has credibility. I reach out to limited partners, get them to share their funds with me or a pool of fund with me, which I, of course, redeploy later on to startups and share that return with the initial investors. It's a simple cycle, one way. Now, who makes money out of it? If you have a $1 billion fund, who's making money out of it? Of course, it's just that VC firm.
Hmm.
And that's given them a very good stronghold. DAO is completely changing that. We are now decentralizing a market that only a select handful had access to. The 0.0001% had access to. So you're moving into an era where you're seeing people who usually would not have access to these kinds of infrastructure, who would not have access to these kinds of opportunities, open things up. And that's the beauty of things, because if I am a founder and I was to raise money, I had limited options. Sure, people might believe in my idea, but if that one investor did not believe in it, I'm out of luck. DAO is going to change that game on its head, because you're going to have smart contracts that would be open to public, where the organization is not one person or a group of managing partners, but the people in itself. And sure, it comes with its own challenges as well, because if you have a fully autonomous, transparent smart contract, we still have to agree to the fact that there might be some rules that you might not want to agree to. So that's where having laid foundational rules, proposals, voting rights, and then, of course, even change to the code once publicly agreed to, is just what makes it a game changer. It's what makes it a thing of beauty, simply said.
Yes, I agree. And again, it was venture capitals, as you mentioned. It was kind of like it was like the middleman. The founder did not really have a strong connection with the community. The community obviously couldn't reach the founder; they had to go to the venture capital company, right? So it was a little bit of a barrier where the DAOs can actually bring that down. There's more interaction between the two parties. The the people just invest their own capital. There's no major requirements if they believe in the project. I think that was the beauty in it, and being decentralized. And again, now you see that according to statistics, the all the DAOs have increased so much, which can be taking part of the pie from the venture capitals companies. So then there's this kind of really depending on what the investor is looking for. Some of them might want to go the traditional way, to go to the venture capital company. Others will just go like, no, I want something more decentralized. And it is true, there are several challenges. Can be from reliability. As you know, venture capitals usually come with a team. They put their CVs online. They're respected. Some of them do have licenses for investment. But again, in decentralized, this part is a little bit lacking, at least for now. So you have to really make your due diligence, read more about it, who's that DAO, and so on, and to get into it. Whereas in venture capital, it was guaranteed or almost taken, assumed that everything was taken care of from the part of due diligence compliance. They checked the project, they knew there's a founder, the curriculum, and so on. So I think there are challenges for DAO, but still is in its infancy, and I think it will grow. The market will learn from it. Now, what about the future? You think there will be a balance between venture capitals and DAOs, or you think it'll remain a little bit competitive?
I'll repeat my mantra again: collaborate, don't compete. Uh, it's easy for a lot of enthusiasts to say, "Oh my God, DAO's gonna change everything. It's gonna flip the world on its head, where you'll no longer have venture capitals or venture capitalists." No, that really won't be the case. It would be something which would be the next level of it. So, just sharing the example of the startup market in India, when the startup boom came in with companies like Flipkart and Snapdeal, and when companies like Tiger Global entered India and started giving out these massive checks, you had founders diluting major equity. Uh, some of the biggest exits that India had been with organizations where the founders were practically left with single digits in equity, because they had diluted all of it just to get more capital and reach out to a wider audience. And sure, it was needed at that moment. The market was still exploding. You needed influx of cash. That was the right thing to do. But you're seeing that significant shift again in the Indian market with companies like Nika, which went IPO, and the founders still had a majority share in the company. You're seeing companies like Navi, which was started by Sachin Bansal, and still have 97% equity when the company is valued at $4 billion. And that's not just impressive, that's mind-boggling, that's really crazy. And in terms of what the future holds, as you said, DAOs are in its infancy. Uh, at present, every centralized bank wants to make sure that the investors' capital are safe, that there are checks and balances at all points in time. So no one with a malicious intent can make money out of vulnerable people who don't understand what they're getting into. So sure, just like you need license to set up an alternate investment fund, you're gonna see within the next 2 to 3 years. We're in 2022, mark my word, before 2025, you're gonna see a lot of restrictions coming in on DAO, where they'll have to apply for license. They'll have to sort of explain to the world how they operate. And that's that's going to be a very key factor, how we manage those compliance side of things, how we handle uh, the government pressure, and how we safeguard the investors who are actually trusting us. Because for a venture capitalist, if I'm managing partner, it's very easy for me to put my CV on the line if I've been doing it for a long time, and let the world idolize me, put me on a pedestal. But when it's decentralized, it's owned by we the people.
How,
Who's to blame?
how do you think, because those risks that you mentioned do exist and might continue existing, how can I'm just thinking from the authority side, how will they be able to impose or require a license from a DAO if it's actually decentralized? It's the people who will make the decisions. And usually, for a license, you need somebody who will be responsible for it, somebody who will give the face and address. And for example, the in the DAOs that I've done interviews with, it actually is such a community that one person can speak on behalf of the community, but they don't want to even give it the face. They say, no, there's no faces here. It's us, the people, right? So how will they be, or the governments, how will they be able to overcome this?
That's what we have to brainstorm, right? If the answer was that easy, this would have been done a long time ago. See, just to highlight some of the challenges that's going to come in with DAOs, is just like every other smart contract, if anyone has access to 51% of the smart contracts, they practically control the system. So how are you going to make sure that no one has that majority share? All of that needs to be highlighted. uh, what's stopping Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk to sort of just pour money into a DAO and acquire a majority share? All of that are gonna be some complications that are gonna be on the side that you'll have to address. And another complication in that chain is, like you mentioned, how are you gonna assign a face to a DAO? How are you gonna assign liability to we the people? If a group of 100 odd people are just cumulatively agreeing to something.
Yeah, I think it's. I
Who's
think that's
responsible? See, we do have democracy, right? At this point in time, we still have the power. In India, the biggest democracy in the world, we vote for our leaders, and they represent us. How is that structure going to work in DAO? How are you going to implement and then put that face that's going to be representing the people to the government, to the shareholders, to all the stakeholders involved? All of that is what needs to be figured out. And I think, like I said, over the next 2 to 3 years in 2024, 25, you're going to see all of that questions being answered.
definitely. I think that would be my the biggest challenge on how a certain authority will try to supervise a group, a community that it was built on no supervision and does not want to be supervised. Now that would be a major challenge. It might work in benefit of the venture capital companies, but I think DAOs are here to stay. By statistics, it's growing at a very fast pace, and will
Oh yeah.
definitely it just attracts people. That's what the people want at the end of the day. And one, while I was reviewing for this topic, something very interesting, I think the main benefit of DAOs is that within the community, the people will help and they will be helping with media skills, hiring skills, legal services, and everything done, oh, you could say almost for free in favor of the community and the project. They really help each other. Whereas venture capital,
Absolutely.
legal advice, yeah, okay, but somebody has to pay for it and so on, right?
See, DAO is in its alpha phase, right? You're seeing cryptocurrencies like Dash still trying to find its right place, and then not to mention MakerDAO, right? It's doing MakerDAO is sort of again changing that crypto game where maintaining stable coin, it's allowing more people to build some confidence. So you're in that, I would say, alpha phase of DAOs where it's at version 0.1. We're yet to reach that version 1 where yes, we have that product market fit. So let's just give it time. And yeah, let's do our research. Always, if you're putting money into something, read about it, make sure you go through the fine prints. Gone are the days when we were just getting a credit card. It was easy to sign on the terms and condition and say, yeah, sure, why not? I trust these guys. When you're entering into a blockchain based investment, it's very important to read the fine print, understand truly what you're getting into, and then just make smart decisions. The world is gonna evolve into something beautiful, into something amazing in the coming years. And sure, jump on the bandwagon. There is a once in a generational wealth transfer going on where you're seeing wealth from older generation like baby boomers and Gen Xers move on to newer generations like millennials, and then Gen Y like crazy, and Gen Z like crazy. So yeah, dip your toes in, make smart investments, make money, but always be cautious what you're getting into.
Well said. Thank you very much, Anuj, for those final remarks. I totally agree. That's exactly why we have La Talk and VC TV, for the
Absolutely.
people to learn more. It's all about learning. It's all about education before making any decision. So, Anuj, thank you very much for being with us, for sharing your expertise. And to our viewers, thank you for listening to us. We'll see you in the next show. Take care and be safe. Have a great day.
Thank you,
Goodbye. Thank
everyone.
you,
Have
Anuj.
a good day. Bye bye.